Salem, April. Our Lives viewers were handed a fresh mystery this week when Elvis E.J. DiMera returned from the hospital and publicly recounted a harrowing memory. Not one but two gunshots rang out in the family mansion on the night he was wounded. The revelation has shifted suspicion away from E.J.'s son, Johnny, and set off a widening search for what the patriarch now calls the gunman in the shadows. E.J. re-enters a house still echoing with gunfire. Hospital orderlies rolled E.J. across the marble threshold of the DiMera estate early Wednesday afternoon. Though interior staff had scoured away every physical trace of the attack, the silence in the foyer felt thick as smoke, according to one servant who declined to be named. Awaiting the ambulance was Johnny DiMera, E.J.'s only son. Instead of a greeting, the 20-something film school dropout offered a curt, "You're dead to me." The remark froze the room. E.J., already pale beneath fresh bandages, asked for a private moment that never materialized. Johnny walked out and slammed the library door behind him. Close by, psychic matriarch Susan Banks pressed a rosary to her lips. "Something unholy lingers here," she said later. "I could feel it the instant we crossed the threshold." A night relived in sepia hours after settling into his bedroom, E.J. experienced what physicians call a memory cascade. He described the recollection in an early morning meeting with family and staff. Johnny, enraged over recent business decisions, stole a .38 caliber revolver from Roman Brady's locked cabinet. Johnny confronted his father in the study and fired once, but the bullet glanced off a heavy bronze paperweight. A split second later a second muzzle flash erupted behind Johnny. E.J. heard a sharper report and felt a second impact, this time a 9mm round that ripped through his shoulder. E.J. identified the second shooter as Gabby Hernandez, a longtime family antagonist last seen near the estate that evening. "I remember two distinct explosions," E.J. told relatives. "My son's gun misfired off the paperweight. Gabby's bullet found its mark." Forensics support the two-shooter theory. A housekeeper has since produced a 9mm shell casing recovered from rose bushes off the patio, roughly 40 feet from the point where Roman's .38 would have ejected brass. Salem police reopened the file on Thursday. Captain Rafe Hernandez, Gabby's brother, recused himself from field duty but confirmed the caliber mismatch in a brief statement. "The physical evidence now suggests two different weapons," Rafe said. "That finding substantially alters the direction of the investigation." Private sector ballistics expert Dr. Amanda Wilkes told the Salem Gazette that the ricochet described by E.J. is plausible. "A dense bronze object at close range can easily deflect a soft-lead handgun round at non-lethal velocity," she explained. A 9mm fired a fraction of a second later would account for the actual wound. Johnny's partial confession hours before police could act on a warrant. Johnny appeared voluntarily at Salem PD and made a statement in E.J.'s presence. According to an internal summary, he admitted to brandishing and firing the .38 in anger. He maintained he never saw Gabby behind him and only learned of a second gunshot when his father's body recoiled. He expressed profound remorse and offered to plead guilty to attempted murder. E.J., however, urged restraint. "Intent is serious," he said in a hallway press scrum. "But facts are stubborn. My son's bullet did not draw my blood." DiMera board on edge. The dual shooter narrative has rattled DiMera Enterprises, the global conglomerate that underwrites half of Salem's philanthropic events. Stocks dipped 2.4% in overseas trading after the press conference, prompting acting CEO Kristen DiMera to issue a memo assuring shareholders the company remains fully functional and liquid. Insiders say corporate attorney Bell Black is preparing a crisis plan should Johnny face charges or should Gabby's alleged involvement ignite civil suits. A criminal discovery process could expose decades of family secrets, warned one board member familiar with the DiMera archives. Gabby on the run. Gabby's whereabouts remained unknown at press time. Police scanners reported an alert for a late-model sedan traveling north on Interstate 55. Surveillance footage from a turnpike camera appears to show Gabby at the wheel, but officials have yet to confirm. An international extradition request has not been filed. Community reaction at the Brady pub. Longtime patrons debated parallels to the Salem Stalker saga of 2003. "We've lived through shootings, kidnappings, even back from the dead plots," owner Roman Brady told regulars. "But a father and son pointing guns at each other? That shakes even me." Area psychologist Dr. Marlena Evans warned of compound trauma for Johnny if public condemnation precedes due process. "He bears the weight of intent," she said, "but there is therapeutic value in distinguishing intent from outcome." What comes next? Salem PD will hold a briefing Friday morning to outline forensic timetables. In the meantime, legal analysts predict a grand jury review within 2 weeks, contingent on Gabby's capture. Questions still unanswered. Could surveillance footage from the mansion corroborate EJ's recollection? Will prosecutors treat Johnny's confession as evidence of attempted murder or as a mitigating factor? How will the DiMera board navigate a leadership vacuum if criminal indictments expand? Will Salem's close-knit legal community withstand the strain of trying a Hernandez while a DiMera sits in the victim's chair? For now, one fact is undisputed: the immediate future of Salem society, and of one of daytime television's most powerful dynasties, hinges on a single night when 2 triggers were pulled nearly in unison. The fall of Gabby Hernandez. Will justice or family loyalty prevail in Salem? Salem, April 28. In a stunning turn of events that has rocked the very core of the DiMera dynasty, Gabby Hernandez now finds herself at the center of a widening legal and moral storm. As Elvis E.J. DiMera recovers both his health and his memory, the true events of that fateful night have begun to crystallize, and they point a damning finger directly at Gabby. With E.J.'s recollection now revealing 2 shooters, and forensic evidence supporting the presence of a second gun at the scene, Gabby's world is quickly crumbling. The question looming over Salem this week is simple, but brutal. Will Gabby Hernandez face justice, or will her brother Rafe Hernandez choose blood over badge and aid in her escape? Gabby's options narrow. Gabby has always been a fighter. From her early days struggling to survive in a town dominated by powerful families, to clawing her way into corporate boardrooms and romantic intrigues, she has rarely played by anyone's rules but her own. However, this time is different. Unlike past schemes, which often carried the whiff of mischievous ambition, Gabby now faces allegations of attempted murder. The bullet that tore into EJ's shoulder was fired from a weapon that Salem PD has unofficially linked to Gabby through ballistics. Though she remains at large, sources close to the investigation suggest it is only a matter of time before a warrant is issued for her arrest on multiple charges, including assault with a deadly weapon, reckless endangerment, and obstruction of justice. A fractured romance. Gabby and JJ. One of the most heartbreaking casualties of Gabby's unraveling might be her delicate relationship with JJ Devereaux. The bond between Gabby and JJ has long been a complicated dance of mutual attraction, personal guilt, and deep-seated need for redemption. JJ, a former Salem police officer himself, knows all too well how the weight of a bad decision can haunt a person's soul. Yet even JJ's natural inclination toward forgiveness may not be enough to bridge the chasm that has now opened. Friends close to JJ suggest he is torn between his love for Gabby and his core belief in personal accountability. "He loves her," said one insider at the Brady pub, "but even JJ has limits. Shooting someone, covering it up, that crosses a line you can't uncross." Insiders suggest a heart-wrenching confrontation is imminent. Will JJ stand by Gabby, offer her a second chance, or walk away, leaving her to the consequences of her actions? Rafe's impossible choice. If Gabby looks to anyone for salvation, it will be her brother, Rafe Hernandez. As head of the Salem Police Department for many years, Rafe has built a reputation as one of the few truly honorable men in a town rife with blurred lines. Yet his history shows he has bent, or outright broken, rules to protect family before. Privately, Rafe faces an agonizing decision: fulfill his duty and bring Gabby to justice, upholding the oath he swore to Salem. Or betray that oath and help Gabby flee, sacrificing his career, reputation, and perhaps his own freedom in the process. Family insiders say Rafe is already weighing potential escape routes, including connections outside Salem that could offer Gabby a new life under an assumed identity. However, sources at SPD note that Internal Affairs is keeping a closer eye on Rafe than ever before. One wrong move, and both siblings could find themselves behind bars. Prison or exile? If Gabby stays and faces trial, most legal experts agree her prospects are grim. E.J. DiMera's testimony carries enormous weight, and the evidence trail is tightening. Given her long history of manipulations, from falsifying paternity tests to conspiring against the DiMeras, prosecutors would likely paint her as a dangerous repeat offender. A guilty verdict could easily result in a 10 to 15-year sentence, possibly served out of state to prevent DiMera interference with local proceedings. Conversely, if Rafe assists her flight, Gabby could vanish into the shadowy world of Salem fugitives, joining infamous names like Ava Vitali and Kristen DiMera, who have evaded capture for years. Such a path would cost her dearly: separation from her daughter, the collapse of her budding career, and endless fear of discovery. The ticking clock. As of press time, Salem police had not officially filed charges. E.J. DiMera is said to be consulting with district attorneys about how aggressively to pursue the matter. Meanwhile, surveillance cameras from DiMera Enterprises' security system are undergoing forensic enhancement, and new evidence may surface at any moment. One way or another, Gabby Hernandez's window for decision is closing fast. Stay, and fight for forgiveness? Or run, and accept exile as the price of freedom? Either way, Salem's next chapter promises heartbreak, betrayal, and the high personal cost of past sins catching up at last.